There are beliefs you've been carrying since childhood, about who you should be, about what you owe to others, about what it means to be strong, to be worthy, to be enough. You didn't choose these beliefs. They were handed to you by parents who were doing their best, by a world that measured people by what they produced, by a culture that confused sacrifice with love, and for decades you carried them, quietly, without question. But the elders say something that stops people in their tracks the first time they hear it. After 60, the beliefs that once protected you become the walls of a prison you built yourself. If you've ever felt like you're living for everyone except yourself, this is for you. If you've ever gone to bed exhausted, not from work, but from the weight of who you've been expected to be, this is for you. We're going to look at 3 beliefs today. 3 things that almost every person over 60 is still carrying, without realizing it, without knowing there's another way. We'll start with belief number 1, and it's one that touches almost every soul who has lived long enough to wonder, was it all worth it? There was an elder in the Lakota tradition who used to say, "The tree that gives all of its fruit before the season is ready will have nothing left when the harvest comes." She wasn't talking about selfishness. She was talking about something far more subtle, the quiet, invisible belief that your value as a human being is directly tied to how much you gave up. Most people over 60 have lived their entire lives inside this belief. You stayed in the job you didn't love because your family needed the stability. You put your dreams on a shelf, just temporarily, you told yourself, and never went back for them. You said yes when your body was saying no. You showed up when you were empty. You gave when you had nothing left to give, and somewhere along the way a story formed inside you. That's just what good people do. That's what love looks like. That's who I am. The elders don't deny that sacrifice has its place. They honor it deeply, but they make a distinction that most of us were never taught. There is a difference between chosen sacrifice, the kind that comes from abundance and genuine love, and obligatory sacrifice, the kind that comes from fear. Fear of being seen as selfish, fear of not being loved if you stop giving, fear of losing your identity if you are no longer needed. One fills you, the other slowly empties you. And here is what makes this belief so dangerous after 60. The children are grown, the career is winding down, the roles that defined you for decades are shifting, and if your entire sense of worth was built on what you gave, on what you sacrificed, then who are you now? This is not a small question. Many people arrive at this stage of life and feel a strange, hollow grief. They don't know why. They've done everything right. They've given everything, and yet something feels missing. The elder would sit with you in that feeling. She wouldn't rush past it. She would say gently, "What was given freely is a gift. What was given from fear is a debt that was never yours to pay." Somewhere inside you, beneath all the years of doing and giving and sacrificing, there is a person who has needs, who has desires, who has a voice that has been waiting patiently for a long time. That person is not selfish. That person is sacred. After 60, the elders say, the work is not to give more. The work is to finally learn to receive rest without guilt, to receive help without shame, to receive your own life as something worth showing up for. You are not less worthy because you stop sacrificing. You are not less loving because you stop disappearing. Letting go of this belief doesn't mean you stop caring for others. It means you stop using your pain as proof that you're a good person. Before we move to the next belief, I want to share something with you. Many of the reflections I've been preserving, about aging with dignity, about inner peace, about the forgotten wisdom that modern life tends to bury, have been gathered into a book called The Last Teachings. It's written the way an elder would speak to someone sitting quietly beside them. Simple words, deep roots. If you'd like to go further into these teachings, you'll find the link in the first comment. The elders call the releasing of this belief the second birth, and they say it plainly, it is harder than the first. When you are born the first time, you have no say. You arrive in a body, in a family, in a world, and you simply begin. You have no old stories yet, no weight of decades, no catalogue of regrets. The second birth is different. The second birth asks you to look at everything you've accumulated, every choice you made, every road not taken, every version of yourself you abandoned along the way, and choose, consciously, to begin again. Not to erase the past. The elders never speak of erasing, but to stop letting the past be the only voice that speaks about your future. There is a belief that settles into people around this age like sediment at the bottom of a river. It's quiet. It feels like wisdom. It sounds reasonable. I'm too old to change. This is just who I am now. The story is mostly written. The elders call this the most seductive lie. Not because change is easy. It isn't. Not because reinvention is simple after decades of being a certain kind of person. It's not. But because the belief that it's too late is not wisdom. It's surrender dressed up as acceptance. There is a difference between accepting what cannot be changed, the years that passed, the words that were said, the losses that came, and accepting a future that hasn't happened yet, as if it were already written. One is peace. The other is giving up. A Cherokee elder once described an old man who had spent 40 years working land he never loved, in a marriage he entered too young, carrying a version of himself that never quite fit. By his late 60s, he was hollow. Not unhappy in a dramatic way, just absent. He had confused endurance with living. One spring, for reasons he couldn't fully explain, he began to paint. Not well at first. Badly, actually. Childlike. Embarrassing, he thought. But he kept going. By the end of that year, something had shifted in him. Not because the paintings were good, but because the act of making something new had cracked open a door he thought was sealed forever. He had proven to himself that he was still capable of becoming. That is what the second birth offers. It does not promise you a different past. It does not undo the years. It simply says, the next chapter has not been written yet, and you are still holding the pen. After 60, many people carry deep regret, things they wish they had done, words they wish they had said, paths they didn't take. And the weight of that regret often calcifies into a belief, if I couldn't do it then, I certainly can't do it now. The elders gently, firmly, ask you to examine that belief, because here is what they have seen across generations, across countless lives. The people who find the deepest peace in their final decades are not the ones who made the fewest mistakes. They are the ones who refused to let any age, any number, be the last word on who they were capable of becoming. You have not run out of time to forgive someone. You have not run out of time to say I love you. You have not run out of time to try the thing that frightened you, to return to the dream you abandoned, to become, slowly, imperfectly, beautifully, more yourself. The story is not written. It is being written, right now, with every choice you make about what to believe. Let go of the belief that the clock has already decided who you are. The second birth is waiting. Of all the beliefs the elders speak about, this one is perhaps the most quietly devastating, because it doesn't look like a wound. It looks like strength. I can handle it myself. I don't want to be a burden. I've always managed on my own. I'm not about to start asking for help now. These words sound like self-reliance. They are often praised. In many cultures, they are the defining mark of a good person. Someone who doesn't complain, doesn't ask, doesn't need. But the elders have watched this belief destroy people from the inside, not violently, slowly, the way a tree hollows out, still standing, still looking strong from the outside, while the center quietly empties. There is a profound misunderstanding at the root of this belief, and it goes back centuries. Somewhere in the long human story, strength became confused with isolation. Independence became confused with not needing anything. And the act of asking, of saying I need help, I am tired, I cannot carry this alone, became a confession of failure rather than an act of courage. The elders saw it differently, radically differently. In many indigenous traditions, the ability to ask for help and to receive it gracefully was considered one of the marks of true maturity. Not weakness, maturity, because it takes something to ask. It takes honesty. It takes the willingness to be seen in your vulnerability, to admit that you are not infinite, that you have limits, that you are human. And it takes trust. Trust that the people around you are capable of showing up. Trust that being seen in your need will not destroy you. After 60, this belief becomes particularly dangerous because the body changes, the energy shifts, the things that were easy become harder. And if your entire identity is built around not needing anything, around being the strong one, the one who holds everything together, then every natural limitation of aging becomes a kind of humiliation. Every time you need to rest, you feel shame. Every time you ask for a hand, you feel like you've diminished. Every doctor's visit, every moment of slowing down, every quiet admission that you cannot do everything you once could, lands like a failure instead of a natural, dignified passage. The elders say, this is not the way. They speak of the village, not as a romantic idea, but as a living truth. Human beings were never meant to carry everything alone. The village existed because life is too large, too heavy, too full of uncertainty for any one person to navigate without being held by others. When you refuse to ask for help, you are not being strong. You are denying the people who love you the chance to show up for you. You are cutting yourself off from the web of connection that makes life meaningful. You are choosing isolation and calling it dignity. Real dignity looks different. Real dignity is the elder who says without shame, "I am tired. Will you sit with me for a while?" Real dignity is the person who calls their child, their friend, their neighbor, and says, "I don't need much, just your presence, just to not be alone with this." Real dignity is the willingness to be human, fully, completely, without apology. If these words have touched your heart, perhaps you'd like to explore the last teachings. In it, I've gathered some of the most important lessons I've encountered about solitude and connection, about inner peace, about what truly matters as the years pass. And when you find the link in the first comment, you'll also receive a free teaching called The Secrets of the First Hour, about the quiet, sacred habits that many elders considered essential for beginning the day with intention. It's there, whenever you're ready. There is something the elders return to again and again, across traditions, across generations, across the long arc of human experience. They say that the second half of life, if we let it, is not a decline. It is a deepening. The first half is about building, about becoming, about proving something to the world and to yourself, that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you deserve to take up space. The second half, if you are willing, is about something different. It's about releasing what was never truly yours to carry. It's about discovering that beneath all the roles, all the sacrifices, all the striving, there is a self that has been waiting, quietly, patiently, without judgment. That self does not measure your worth by how much you gave up. It does not believe the story is over. It does not confuse asking for help with weakness. That self knows something the younger version of you couldn't quite hear. You were always enough. Not because of what you did, because of who you are. The three beliefs we've spoken about today, they didn't come from nowhere. They came from love, often, from people who wanted to prepare you for a hard world, from experiences that taught you convincingly that you had to earn your place. You don't have to blame anyone for these beliefs. You don't have to be angry at the people who passed them on to you. They were carrying them too. But you do have a choice today in this moment, the same choice the elders faced and their elders before them. You can continue carrying what you've always carried, or you can set it down, not dramatically, not all at once, but one small conscious act of release at a time. Let go of the belief that your worth lives in your sacrifice. Let go of the belief that the story is already written. Let go of the belief that asking for help is failure. And discover what has been waiting beneath. The life that was always yours, the peace that was always possible, the person you were always becoming. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not too broken, too tired, too far down the road to change direction. The elders knew something about time that we often forget in our rushing. It is never too late to put down what was never yours to carry. Walk a little lighter today. That is enough. If this reflection stayed with you, take a moment to share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you'd like to continue this conversation about aging with wisdom, about inner peace, about the teachings that time tends to bury, the link to the last teachings is in the first comment. See you in the next one.